Hello, darling. It's nice to see you again, and thanks for joining me for today's video. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you today about the van life experiences that I have learned over the past year, so that you and other people can gain some insight and hopefully avoid making the same mistakes that I made, because that's really important. It really is. And the thing is, because I've been doing van life for a few years now, I thought I knew everything about van life. Well, not everything, but almost everything. And now I realize that's not the case at all. I realize now that there's a lot of things about van life that I don't know about at all. And so, the first thing is that I learned from my van life experience over the past year is to never ever drive your vehicle on a really low tank of fuel. And it doesn't matter what type of vehicle you have, whether it's a car, van, bus, truck, camper, SUV, or whatever. And it doesn't matter what type of fuel your vehicle takes, whether it's petrol, diesel, or whatever. Whatever you do, never ever drive your vehicle on a really low tank of fuel, because that can damage your engine, including getting air into your fuel lines, amongst other things. And this is one of those experiences that I learned the hard way, and it was a really costly learning experience for me, because I was thinking that, I could save money as well as petrol by using all of the fuel in my reserve tank first before I filled up. And I had to go up to my parents' place one day, and that's 54 kilometers from my home. So at least I know how far I can get on my reserve tank of fuel, which is good. But I did not know at the time that it's not good for your engine at all, because it can damage your engine. So my logical way of thinking was wrong. And so I learned the hard way, because I had to take my van to my mechanic to get it fixed, and that cost me $150, all because I drove my vehicle on a really low tank of gas. So the first thing that I learned was never ever drive your vehicle, whatever type of vehicle you have, whatever type of fuel it takes, on a really low tank of gas. So what you do is, as soon as if you're driving along, and as soon as the reserve tank light comes up on your dashboard, go put some fuel in your vehicle straight away. I mean, it doesn't have to be a full tank of fuel or half a tank of fuel, Just putting something like $10 in your vehicle, is good enough, And so that's what I learned from driving on a really low tank of fuel. And another thing I noticed was that my van kept stalling. And that's another thing that I learned, is that because the vehicles of today are a lot different to the vehicles of yesterday, meaning the vehicles of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and so on, where those vehicles, you could drive them on a really low tank of gas, and they wouldn't stall until you completely ran out of gas, But the vehicles of today are made a lot different. And therefore, what's going to happen is that your vehicle is going to stall first before you actually run out of gas. And that's exactly what happened to me. And that happened to me twice. And I noticed each time when my van stalled, the power steering locked up. And even though the brakes were still working, it was a lot harder to brake and a lot harder to control the vehicle. And I was luckily that I was driving slow at that point in time, because if I had been driving fast, that could have caused an accident. You see what I mean? So whatever you do, if you have a vehicle, a modern vehicle, never ever drive your vehicle on a really low tank of gas. Once the light comes up on your dashboard, and if you have to drive a little way, that's okay. But don't keep driving on the reserve tank until it's almost empty, because all you're doing is just creating engine problems that you don't want, that could cost you a lot of money to fix. I was luckily, it only costed me $150, but it could have been a lot worse, and it could have cost me a lot more money. You see what I mean? And that brings me to the second thing that I learned, is that okay, so that brings me to the second thing that I've learned, is that prevention is better than cure, and it's cheaper too. Like, for example, using the example of that I was just talking about, is how you don't drive your vehicle on a really low tank of fuel. And that's because if I hadn't have done that, I could have prevented the whole thing, and I could have prevented not causing damage to the engine, and I could have prevented paying $150 to my mechanic if I had avoided, what is this driver doing? If I had avoided not driving my van on a really low tank of gas. You see what I mean? So the moral of the story is prevention is better than cure, which it is, and it's cheaper too. Because if you prevent something from happening, you're also preventing costs that may materialize, whether it be mechanical fees, pay fees to pay your mechanic, or medication, or ambulance fees, doctor's fees, whatever it may be. So therefore, if you can prevent something from happening, you're also preventing costs that may Which I realised my phone holder keeps going whoops. So that's the second thing I've learned. So the first thing is never ever drive on a really low tank of gas. And the second thing I learned is prevention is better than cure, and it's cheaper too. And the third thing that I have learned is that when you're driving, always keep all of your tires completely full of air at all times. Never ever drive on tires that are half full of air or whatever, because by doing that you're going to be wasting a lot of fuel, and I mean a lot of fuel. And by wasting a lot of fuel, we got a red light, you're also going to be wasting money. So if you always keep the air in your tires completely full at all times, you're going to be saving money, because you're going to be saving fuel. Whereas if you drive your vehicle on tires that are half full or whatever, you're going to be using so much fuel and wasting so much fuel. Therefore, you're going to be spending more money on gas. Does that make sense? So the first thing is never ever drive your vehicle on a low tank of fuel. The second thing is prevention is better than cure, and it's cheaper too. And the third thing is always drive your vehicle on full tires. Never drive your vehicle on tires that are half full of air. Now, sorry, I touched the speaker. Now, speaking of driving on your vehicle with not much air on your tires, never ever drive your vehicle on those, if you haven't got much air on your tires, or if your tires are half full of air, especially if you're driving on a really low tank of gas, because if you do that, oh my God, you are going to be into big trouble. You are going to run out of fuel so quickly, and you'll just end up getting stranded somewhere. So that's another thing. So never ever drive your vehicle on with all of your tires being like half full of air on a really low tank of gas. That's a really big no-no. And the final thing that I learned from my van life experience in the past year is to always wash your car often. And the reason for that is because that stops rust. So the more you keep your car clean, the less rust issues you're going to have. Simple. So cleaning your vehicle, giving your car a wash once every week or so is a great idea. It's not just about keeping your car clean and looking nice, it's about preventing rust too. And rust is the last thing you want in your car, because that's like cancer. You know how people get cancer? Well, rust is like cancer for your car. Okay, so those are the few things that I have learned from my van life in the past year. So I thought I would share them with you so you can gain some insight and hopefully avoid making the mistakes that I made. Okay, well, I have to run because I have an appointment. So thanks for joining me for today's video. I really appreciate it. It's only a short video, but that's okay. And please subscribe to my channel to support me. And don't forget to give my videos a thumbs up. And I will see you, darling, in my next video. So until then, please take care. And of course, drive safely. Bye-bye, darling.